Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. If you're new to this channel, I'm ultimately Film Guru, and this channel is really devoted to me having my say on particular movies and TV series and a variety of other film related content. So today I'll be looking at Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. This taking over the reins of directing here is Michael Chavez, who's known for The Weeping Woman. It once again stars Vera Famiga and Patrick Wilson, and adding to this cast this time is John Noble and a variety of others. The film really focuses once again on paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, and it looks at them taking on the most sensational case of their career. After a cop stumbles upon a dazed and bloodied young man walking down the road, accused of murder, the suspect claims demonic possession as his defense, forcing the Warrens into a supernatural inquiry unlike anything they've ever seen before. I think this film had a lot going for it. There was a number of scenes and sequences that I really enjoyed. There's some things about this I didn't love and felt they could have orchestrated them or looked at them in a better way. But before I get into that, I'll start with the stuff I did like, the more positive stuff. I like once again we're introduced to that particular world and we get to see Ed and Lorraine doing what they do best. And this sort of looks at them in a different way, and I kind of really like that. It really looks at the bond that these two have, and it's more of a love story than anything between Ed and Lorraine. I still like the creepiness of the dark force or whatever the evil is, and them Ed and Lorraine pursuing that. I really like that still. I think that's a really interesting aspect to the film, and it really shows what they do and how they go about what they do, and I like that. I thought what the evil thing itself that Ed and Lorraine are up against is really great as well. I think that's a really solid and solid sort of villain and a solid sort of evil, but it's done in a different way. It's not quite what you expect, and I think that's really clever, and it adds something different to the two previous films we've had within the Conjuring films. I like the music used at the era and a particular song used in a particular sequence. That's really clever and well done. It really does a great job of putting you there in that particular era and that particular time, and I think that's great. I really like John Noble's character. He plays like an ex-priest who the Warrens go to for help. And for a number of years he's been studying the sort of the occult and the darkness, and it's kind of interesting to see the scenes with the Warrens and him in it and how they bounce off each other. I really like that as well. But by far the best thing about the film is Ed and Lorraine once again. This sort of goes into a little bit more backstory about who they are and how they met. And it's really Lorraine that is a driving force for the film. There's sequences in it where we really get to see her abilities and what she's capable of. And we get to see more things through her eyes. There's certain things she experienced that she hasn't experienced before, and it really shows the strength of the character. These two are the characters we care most about, I think, throughout the three films. And it really shows how strong the bond is that has formed between these two, and how far they will go for each other. I really love that. Even though the families were interesting in the two previous films, it's really been their journey and their character that I've enjoyed the most. She faces the evil in the film head on, and just really perseveres no matter what. Even though she's a little scared or a little worried about what might transpire, she still works towards it because she wants to help people, and that's the important part of her character and the essence of who she is. And I think she's really great in that aspect. And I think in the end, these two characters are really the heart and soul of the film. And I just felt really part of that particular world, that was into their world, which I thought was really good. And it sort of looked at the idea that even though people come to them with a particular case, this was really more about them and about what they do and how they go about what they do. And that's why I think that's the most interesting part of the film. I just wanted to learn more with them. I wanted to spend more time with them. I wanted to see them go up against the evil and how they work about trying to overcome that evil. I think that's great. There are some creepy scenes that are kind of effectively done. Overall, it's a solid movie. It's just not as good as it could have been. There are a number of things I didn't overly enjoy or thought could have been done much better. Even though there were some creepy scenes that were done well, it just felt, without James Wan's direction, it just felt like it lost that creepiness, that suspenseful aspect that he adds to his movie. And sort of been replaced a little bit with more jump scares and more sort of gruesome visual effects stuff than just practicality that James Wan uses. I didn't think all the visual effects looked great either, and I just thought it took you out of the film when you can really see that it doesn't look really great. But I think that the biggest issue with the film, for me anyway, is they never really set up this family, never really set up the family at the beginning in the film very well, and they don't set Artie up very well either, who ultimately is being harassed and possessed by this particular spirit. And because they don't really set that up, I just found myself not caring as much as I thought I should. And each time this sequence where Artie comes on screen, or this sequence involving him, I just didn't feel connected to it as I really wanted to. And I just was waiting for the next time we saw the Warrens appear. And I think that's a mistake in a lot of ways. Because what really works with horror like this is setting up a family, setting up people that we care about. So we go on the journey with them, so we care what happens to them. Them doing that, the audience is really connected to these characters. And I just didn't feel that connection that I really wanted. And I think that was the most disappointing thing about the film. Final thoughts. In the end, it's really, like I said earlier, a love story between Ed and Lorraine. And the strength that these two characters have with each other, and the bond, and how they go up against so much darkness. And in this film, we start to see the effects of that. And it also looks at the idea, how far would you go for someone you love? What would you do to help them, or protect them, or save them from something really bad? And I think that's what this film is really asking. I'm going to give Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, 3.5 out of 5. It was a solid movie, just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. Still enjoyed certain aspects of the film, and especially the Warrens. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Facebook and Letterboxd. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.